Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Good morning, happy Monday. Returning from an eventful Thanksgiving weekend. I'm sure you're all looking at me like, what in the hell is that? Well, that's what happens when you bet on the Detroit Lions. Everybody, good morning. Welcome to the morning Woodward Show, Jeff.
It's a good look, Adam.
I kind of like it.
Yeah.
I kind of like it. It's not that bad. My wife hasn't talked to me since Saturday.
That's the real question. What's your wife think of it? Yeah.
I kind of like it. I'm not going to lie. It's not that bad. It's not as bad as I thought it would be. You know?
No, definitely not.
I kind of got that, you know.
You're kind of rocking it.
I don't know.
I did think about it over the weekend. I almost thought about joining you.
It's pretty bad.
I almost thought about joining. Mine would have been like a little, it would have been a miniature one, but hey, we would have both rocked the Aaron Rodgers stash today. It would have been interesting.
I like it. Ron Jeremy talking Detroit sports. That's a great comment. All right. We got to get into what was a historic weekend. Michigan beat Ohio State. Not only beat them, they bullied them 42-27 in a huge win. Their first win against Ohio State in 10 years. It is the first time Michigan is appearing in the Big Ten title game ever. And they, with a win, 99.9% likely, get into the college football playoff. Guys, sometimes, there are experiences and moments in life where you kind of just never forget where you were or what you were feeling, and the game on Saturday was definitely one of those events I think everybody will remember for a long time. It was not only historic in its own right, first to win in 10 years. I mean, there's so many historical milestones that were reached. Hassan Haskins, 5 touchdown performance. Aiden Hutchinson, 15 pressures, the most ever recorded. I mean, there's so many historical moments in that game, but more importantly, it was program changing.
Yeah.
It really was. I mean, that is a program changing win. Jim Harbaugh, the son of Michigan himself, finally delivered on what he had promised 7 years ago. This is why Jim Harbaugh was brought to Michigan, to win these games. And not just win these games when Ohio State is 6-6 and they're having a down year and you're not even going to win the Big Ten anyways. No. When the game matters the most, the final game of the season, the winner goes to the Big Ten title game. Can you deliver? And up until Saturday, Harbaugh was not able to deliver. Michigan were never able to deliver. And you know what they did on Saturday? They not only delivered, they delivered a knockout blow, in my opinion, to Ohio State. It was one of the most impressive performances I've seen in a long time from any college football team, especially Michigan. And we're talking about a team that, again, going into the year, unranked. And here they are, 10-1 going into the final game of the year. Everybody expected them to lose. And what do? They win by 15. And going into the fourth quarter, they had a 15-point lead. Very similar to the game against Michigan State. They were up 16. What does Ohio State do? They go down and score. But you know what Michigan does? They go right back down and score themselves. And you know what? I think what was most impressive of everything was that Michigan scored on every second half possession. And not only did they score on every second half possession, Jeff, they never faced a third down situation in the second half. They were moving the ball at will.
Ohio State had no answers.
The offensive line pushed around Ohio State.
Yep.
And we talked about this all the time. Can you run when the game matters? Can you run on Ohio State? And up until Saturday, you couldn't. Michigan had never proven before that they could run on Ohio State. And on Saturday, they finally did it. And my goodness, it was unbelievable to watch. Before the season started, Jeff, I made the comparison between Jim Harbaugh and Dabo Swinney. And it's kind of funny looking back now at it, because before the season started, they were unranked. And I kind of came to the defense of Jim Harbaugh. And I said, you know what? 6 years in, you put them side by side with Dabo Swinney. They both have 0 national titles. Very similar win record. Dabo Swinney, I believe, 51-23. Jim Harbaugh, 49-22, I believe. Very similar records. And then going into year 7, Alex, if you could, Dabo Swinney goes 10-3 that year, wins the ACC. And then, of course, who can forget? Jim Harbaugh this year, 11-1. First Big Ten title game appearance. It was a historic weekend, and I really can't emphasize the historic meaning behind it, Jeff. Your takeaways from the game?
Yeah, look at this graphic right here. The Dabo
Well, yeah,
Swinney.
I mean, here we go. So, look, Dabo Swinney, 51-23 his first 6 years.
Yep.
Jim Harbaugh, 49-22. And what happened year 7 and year 8 for Dabo? He got the quarterback. Deshaun Watson, year 8, they lose in the national title game. Then they win it, and then they win it with Trevor Lawrence, and then they get back a fourth time. And Jim Harbaugh kind of hinted at this. This felt like just the beginning. And I really got that feeling too. That win over Ohio State. Now, granted, there's still work that needs to be done. They need to beat Iowa. But you know what? We're not going to talk about that. We could talk about it tomorrow and the rest of the week.
Yep.
But for right now, that win over Ohio State is program changing, man. It is unbelievable. It was so vital. And for him to go 11-1 year 7, to have almost the same exact record as Dabo Swinney, it kind of shows you where they're going. He reinvented himself. He brought in new people, young, innovative, people with new ideas, fresh ideas.
Right.
Got rid of Don Brown, and I was one of the first thing that came out of my mouth when Don Brown got fired is Michigan are going to be much better this year, just on the sole fact that Don Brown is not their defensive coordinator.
Right.
Mike McDonald's done a phenomenal job. I mean, it's been unbelievable to watch. Jeff?
And we talk about the offense. I know you mentioned it earlier, but I just want to make this clear. Credit to Anthony Broom for this information, but this Michigan offense is really coming alive, and we'll just talk about in just November. Jake Moody has only 1 field goal attempt in the last 3 games, none at Penn State or Ohio State. So that's a big credit to Josh Gaddis, offensive coordinator, and Jim Harbaugh. And we can critique Cade McNamara all you want. Michigan played a great game, and I was wrong. I did say Ohio State would win. I predicted 34-24, and listen, it takes a man to admit when he's wrong, and I was wrong. But this win was so big for Michigan in the program. Jim Harbaugh shutting all the critics up, and this is what Michigan did. This is the significance of what they did. They ended an 8-game losing streak to Ohio State. They ended the Buckeyes' 29-game win streak against Big Ten teams. They ended the Buckeyes' 21-game win streak against ranked Big Ten teams. And now Jim Harbaugh in the Michigan program is the first Big Ten team to ever beat Ryan Day. So you talk about a lot of history being made Saturday. A lot of history was made. And it's about time. This year, at home with this team, the last time Michigan beat Ohio State was at home when they rushed for nearly 300 yards, and they did it again Saturday. Nearly 300 yards. Big thanks. They got Blake Corum back for the game. He had some he gave him some boosts of energy. Hassan Haskins found the end zone 5 times. We all know that. But Michigan played a damn near perfect game besides the early interception. Obviously, that didn't really have much of an effect on the game itself. Ohio State didn't go down and turn it right into points. But we've seen teams, I could talk about Michigan State coming off those big wins and having a little bit of a hangover. And Ohio State, I don't think it was a hangover. I think it was more so Michigan was the better team all around.
Ohio State expected to win the football game, and Michigan wanted to win it. There's a huge difference in mindset. And let's not forget, Ryan Day said the next time we play Michigan, we wanted to hang 100. I mean, if you don't need bulletin board material already in probably the greatest rivalry in college football, to add that, Ryan Day, dude, you haven't won a national championship yet. You took over a program, and I love that Jim Harbaugh said this. I absolutely love it.
I love the third baseline.
Yep. So Jim Harbaugh said in the post-game press conference, some people are born on third base, and they think they hit a triple. Yep. And, I don't want to undermine Ryan Day. I think he's a very good coach. But when you take over an Urban Meyer, Ohio State-built program, what the hell do you expect less? You better get to a national championship at least once in 3 years.
You got the cachet.
You got the team. You've got the talent. And now you're starting to see his players come out. And look, I think he let down his team on Saturday, Ryan Day. They weren't prepared. I was there live. I got to watch the game. It was a really great experience. Having said that, they just couldn't make adjustments.
No, they couldn't.
They couldn't at all. Michigan played 2 high safeties the entire game. They took away any big play potential. The one time that Michigan ran single high safety, Olave beat them deep, and then they never did it again. Hutchinson, 15 pressures. I can't say this enough. 15 quarterback pressures on 45 dropbacks.
That's a potential number 1 overall pick.
I mean, we're going to talk about that a little later in the show, but it was unbelievable. Mm-hmm. It was unbelievable to watch. I mean, you can't credit Michigan enough. And again, I understand Harbaugh's only 1-5 against Ohio State, but this can look totally different in the next 4 or 5 years. And I really think this couldn't have been a better year for the Big Ten. Michigan State 10-2, Iowa, I believe 9-3, I believe, or 10-2. As well. Fish, can you confirm Iowa's record for me?
10-2.
10-2. Iowa 10-2. They're going to the title game to play Michigan. Michigan State 10-2. Ohio State 10-2. I mean, this was a good year for the Big Ten. And let's be honest, guys. We're going to get to Lincoln Riley and USC a little later on. But damn it, the Big Ten and college football in general is so much better when the top-tier branded programs are good. USC. Texas, for example, even Miami, and especially Michigan. Michigan, we've been waiting a long time for this. A long time. And honestly, I'm really happy for Jim Harbaugh. I really am. Because to take the pay cut he took, to take the risk he took, getting rid of a significant part of his coaching staff, bringing in 15 guys to his coaching staff under the age of 45, going after Mike McDonald. You can thank John Harbaugh for that one. That is how you turn around a program. And he said it from the beginning. In spring ball, we felt like we could run on Ohio State. And damn it, did they. The snow did not play a factor. I was there. The snow wasn't this, it wasn't Michigan State, Penn State where you couldn't see it. It was slight snowfall. It wasn't that bad. Yes, it was kind of cold. It wasn't that bad. C.J. Stroud was extremely effective. He took everything underneath, everything that was given to him. The problem for Ohio State was they couldn't stop Michigan. And that was the story. If I told you Michigan scored 42 points going into the game, you would tell me they have a shot. If I told you that Ohio State only scored 27 points, you would tell me they would have no chance. And that's exactly what happened. That is exactly what happened. And it was such a great game to watch. I mean, look. I'm going to keep saying it. It's a program-changing win. Mm-hmm. Yes, he's 1-5. You guys can point to every. I don't care. He wins the Big Ten championship on Saturday, and then you go extend it for another 10 years. You do it. You just do it. It'll be his first college football playoff appearance, his first trophy as a Michigan Wolverine. I mean, that is significant, in my opinion. Yes, it took 7 years. Well, you know what? I would like to see it in an alternate universe how any other head coach would have fared against an Urban Meyer-built Ohio State. And again, yes, Jim Harbaugh was brought here to compete with it and to beat it, and he didn't. And he played extremely, extremely poor against Ohio State, against Michigan State. This doesn't absolve him from everything or all the criticism that he has gotten. Some of it and most of it is warranted. You're in the title game now. You win it. Makes a lot of people forget. Winning makes a lot of people forget a lot of things. Jeff, if you could please tell everybody at home about our friends at Northwestern Tech.
Yeah, Northwestern Tech provides great opportunities for everybody, and especially you or anybody you know that is looking to start a new career in an industry that is always essential. It's the heating and cooling industry. Learn more today by visiting northwesterntech.edu.
Hi, I'm David Hall from Hall Financial. One mortgage myth we hear all the time is having to choose between a 15 or a 30-year fixed term. At Hall Financial, we offer the modern mortgage to create a flexible term that fits your unique financial situation. Our team of mortgage experts are available 7 days a week to review your goals and customize a solution for you. Get started today with a free 5-minute mortgage review at 866-CALL-HALL or chat with us online at callhallfirst.com.
It's Adam, Jeff, and Kennedy. Mornings on the Woodward Sports Network.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network, guys. After a historic weekend for the Michigan Wolverines, we got to transition to maybe a historic Thursday in its own right. The Lions lose to the Bears 16-14. They fall to 0-10-1, the first team in NFL history to start the season 0-10-1. Jeff, walk me through the game on Thursday, your takeaways. We weren't here on Friday, unfortunately, to be able to talk about it. Here's your chance, Jeff.
And I was there.
How was it?
I was in the stands. And you know what? The first drive or two, actually, Jared Goff looked good. Like, the offense looked like we were not 0-10-1. But the more the game progressed, you started to kind of realize, yeah, this is a bad football team. And it started early in the game. Obviously, the Lions score first. Josh Reynolds, get him involved. It was nice to see him and Jared Goff have that connection. But as the game progressed, you started to realize, and DeAndre Swift got hurt nearly 3 carries into the game. So you lost your best playmaker. TJ Hutchinson, 3 for 35. I mean, we could talk about it as much as we want. This is a guy who I think is still a top 5 tight end, and he just hasn't been playing like it the last couple weeks. And you could blame the offense, you can blame whatever. But I was disappointed on Thursday when I went to this game. Like, I read a stat the other day, and I found it interesting. It said if the Lions have scored, if they only could find a way to score 20 points, they'd be 5-6 in most of these games. Because
now they'd be 6-6.
Now they'd be 6-6. So that's the disappointing thing, really, is every week you're tuning into an abysmal offense, and defensively, I give these guys credit. They play their asses off.
I'm tired of that. I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying defensively. They every week, as bad as you are as a team, and you show up like that defensively every week, that deserves credit. I'm sorry, it does. Like, if you show up like that after you lose 16-14, and the week prior, you lose to the Browns in that upsetting loss, and you come out and you play hard, like you play just as well, and with injuries all over the defense, that deserves credit. Offensively, I got nothing to say. I mean,
well,
Jamal
Dan Campbell is your savior. He's your play-calling savior, guys. You guys tell me about how much better he is than Anthony. I mean, they're both awful. They're both awful. They have no idea what they're doing. Offensively, it was pathetic, and honestly, the Lions just can't put together a full game. They really can't. But like all of you say, right? They're trying. They're playing hard, Adam. Excuse me. I pay you millions of dollars. I expect you to play hard. Excuse me.
But playing.
Excuse me. I pay for my ticket to go to the game. Excuse me. Speaking on behalf of a Detroit Lions fan. Excuse me that I expect you to play. That is a given in the NFL.
But
yes, it was toxic under Matt Patricia. That doesn't mean, oh my God, they play hard. Oh my God, we're going to the Super Bowl.
But you can admit
it doesn't mean anything.
But there's a difference. Playing hard, there's teams in the NFL week to week. Well, they'll have games where they're just completely off. We can agree on that. The Lions every week are showing up defensively, and I don't know what
they're showing up defensively. They're not showing up offensively, and they have more talent offensively than they do defensively.
But what would you equivalent that to the defense? They're playing hard, right? They're playing above their means.
On defense, you have to play hard. I mean, it's kind of it's cliche to say. I think
but
the better word is they're much better prepared and coached on defense than they are on offense.
Defenses show up, they play soft. Some of them play soft.
Aaron Glenn, I'm telling you, is going to be getting interviews for a head coaching position, if not this offseason, the next. The fact that he's doing what he's doing with the talent given to him is unbelievable.
It's ridiculous.
I'm so happy for him. I mean, he's doing a phenomenal job. I can't say that about Anthony Lynn, let alone Dan Campbell. I just can't, and you can't take it seriously. Penalties continue to haunt the team.
Yep.
The awful, pathetic decision
Don't even bring
to call a double timeout in that situation where you openly admit, well, if they throw it in the flat, it's 6. Okay, let me do the math. If they get 6, you still need to go down and score. But if you take the penalty, which you did, you make it, 3rd and 2 instead of 3rd and 7. Mm-hmm. So they only need 2 yards to ice the game.
Ice the game.
So that's what you went for. Look, guys, I've been saying it since day one. The guy looks in over his head. Situational football, throw it out the window. He's god-awful at it. This is just, it's embarrassing at this point. It's embarrassing. I don't get it. The Lions under Dan Campbell are a team that find ways not to win football games.
That last 2 minutes, like to your point,
They just know how not to win
Despicable,
football
man.
games. Late turnovers, inability to get off the field on third down, not be able to put together game-winning drives, missing field goals, whatever the case may be.
too many men on the field at the wrong time.
Look, guys, look. Yes, it's a rebuild. That is very evident. But I promise you, a lot of people would feel a hell of a lot better if you weren't 11 games into the year and you were winless. It's freaking pathetic. The Texans are 2-8. The Dolphins started 1-7 or 5-7 now. Guys, even if you were 1-9-1, I swear to you, criticism would drop 40%. But the fact that you're 12 weeks in and you're winless,
You're losing like this.
it's extremely pathetic. And the Lions aren't tanking; they're just that bad. I don't think they're tanking at all.
I feel like that's an easy way to explain a lot of flaws. They're tanking. Well,
They're not.
They're not. Yeah,
They're not.
They're not.
This
They
is
want
a
to win.
football team.
They want to
that
win.
has pieces on offense now that DeAndre Swift isn't going to be available for a few weeks. That's not ideal, but I don't get it. And you said DeAndre Swift only got 3 carries before he got hurt.
Yeah.
But that was like well into the game. They were running Jamal Williams
I know.
more than DeAndre Swift, coming off of back-to-back 100-yard games.
Mm-hmm.
Jamal Williams was getting the carries. It was the funniest thing. But again, I guess you can make an excuse for Dan Campbell, right? Assistant tight ends coach, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, I don't even know what to say about him anymore. This is Hugh Jackson-esque, guys. This is the Browns 4 or 5 years ago. You look like the Browns, and he looks like Hugh Jackson. But you want to tell me he's Kevin Stefanski and he's going to turn it around. I don't think that's the case. I think you're going to build a very good roster over the next few years. Draft capital looking really good at the moment. And then you're going to bring in a guy. I don't think Dan Campbell is the guy that takes you from Hugh Jackson-esque win-loss record to 10-7, 11-6, 12-5. I don't see it. I don't. And if you do, please flatter me because I just don't see it.
You know what's the sad part about the NFL, and it's the fact, is Dan Campbell, and any coach in the NFL, you're only good as your offensive and defensive coordinators. And look at the Lions this year and the games they've choked. They're winless, obviously, but the way that they've lost, if their offense was able to produce anything, let's say there were, they had 4 wins, let's say, or 5 wins, or even 3 wins, I think Dan would be, you'd alleviate some of this.
In a
off
rebuild,
of him.
you're willing to accept
Yes.
a significant amount of losses in a rebuild. This is absolutely a rebuild. Still a lot of football left to play. But when you are 11 weeks into the season and you haven't won a football game, it's kind of pathetic.
It is pathetic.
And then
can't
what do you
defend
want?
that.
You want fans to be excited? You want fans to look forward? Look forward to what? You're basically Hugh Jackson and the Browns all those years ago. That's how bad you look. You look like a team that might end up winless. You look like a team that probably next year wins 4 or 5 games at most. So you're going to have a 5-28-1 record. You're going to keep him for year 3 with a better roster going into year 3? This has Browns written all over it. You know what? I noticed something in the chat I really want to talk about real quick. I don't know him personally, but he did pass away over the weekend, Jim Bordeaux. Condolences to his family and really Lions community. I don't know him personally, but people that work here and people in the chat know him. It's really unfortunate. So I'm not sure how old he was. I know he had a daughter, so praying for his family, and I wish them all the best, honestly. But
back to your Browns point, I want to bring this up.
To Jim.
0-16, when they were 0-16, the Browns. They had a couple losses. I'm just looking at this. They gave up consistently 30 points a game. So defensively, they weren't there, but they had close games. So as much as I want to say the Lions, they're 0-10-11 or 1.
The Lions, when they went 0-16, were notorious for close games.
Right. So the fact of the matter is you're winless. It doesn't matter how competitive the games are. The fact of the matter is you don't have a win. And you could blame your offense, but this is what I prefer. And I'm going to preach this till the end of the season. I want Dan Campbell to call up somebody around the league. There's a quarterback coach out there. There's a pass game coordinator out there. Look at your NFC neighbor. Look at the Green Bay Packers. And look at Matt LaFleur. All the guys he has under him. Look around the league. You can bring in somebody to replace Anthony Lynn. And in a couple years, to your point, if Dan Campbell's not the guy, you have your guy in-house as an offensive coordinator.
You're 0-10-1, okay? Let's look at Matt Patricia. His last season, you had a point differential of -142. You're already at -115. Last year, you had the 20th ranked offense in terms of points. You're at 30 right now. 20th in yards, you're at 29th in yards. 32nd in points last year, 26th in points. At least on defense, I mean. So you improved on defense.
Say offense,
and the defense is actually playing pretty well. I think we can all agree, correct? But the problem is you can only do so much. Yards allowed per game, defense 28th ranked. Total defensive rank 20th. Like this, it's pretty bad. It really is. They're not any better. Yes, it's a rebuild, but this is Hugh Jackson-esque. But it just is. And the guy has Hugh Jackson written all over him.
Well, hold on. I don't want to go there yet. I want to ask you this, though. We say it's a problem. How do you fix it? What are you doing? Are you going to fire Dan Campbell?
No.
What would you do if you're Dan Campbell in this situation?
If I'm Dan Campbell?
Yeah. What would you do?
If I'm the coach, I'm going to do the best I can over the next 2 years, knowing I'm probably going to get fired.
What's an immediate move? You think
there's no immediate move. This team.
So he's screwed.
Yes. He's getting fired after season 2, likely if he walks away, 5-28-1.
Yeah.
He just is. He just is.
Oh.
And if you want to give him year 3, be my guest. He's not pulling a Kevin Stefanski and winning you 11 games. He just isn't.
No, not right now. This team's 3 years away from anything.
Well, that's my point. By year 3,
yeah,
we expect the team to be good, correct?
Yeah.
Are you going to bring in a young Kevin Stefanski-esque head coach, or are you going to stick with DC?
Take a coordinator right now that you can eventually groom to be your head coach if Dan Campbell doesn't work out. But
look, Dan Campbell's getting this year, and he's getting next year. That's a given. No one's going to talk me out of it. He's that coach for this year and next year, no doubts.
Right.
He should not get fired. But having said that, he looks like Hugh Jackson. And if you aren't willing to acknowledge that, I really can't help you any more than I can right now. He looks like Hugh Jackson. And I really hope that Brad Holmes continues to do at least a very good job, hopefully this offseason, have a very good draft, build up the roster. That way it's an attractive team to come to 2-3 years
and
from
we'll
now.
see. We got one more year. Hugh Jackson went 1-15 than 0-16, so he actually has more of these type of seasons under his record. If Dan Campbell looks like this next season, I'll jump on that bandwagon. I got you. Get rid of him. But as of right now, just find a new coordinator offensively, please. That's all I ask.
Compare rosters, Motown. I will. The Browns roster under Hugh Jackson was pretty pathetic. So is this roster. He still got fired because he didn't look like he had any idea what the hell he was doing. They looked better, God forbid, under Freddie Kitchens. I just want that to kind of click with you. They looked better with Freddie Kitchens and Baker Mayfield than they did with Hugh Jackson and Baker Mayfield. And they looked so much better that the Browns tricked themselves into actually hiring Freddie Kitchens. And then that didn't work out. And then Kevin Stefanski came in. So if you want to give Dan Campbell 3 years, be my guest. But I'm telling you from now, he's not the guy that takes you from the floor to the playoffs, winning a division, etc., etc. He isn't. And if you think he is, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what more do you need to see. I really don't.
And this is a very popular thing we got to address because people talk about, I hear this all the time, whether it's over Twitter or it's in the chat. Sounds like you guys can't read the room of a rebuild. Bring in 2 years worth of his players, then fire him. Listen, in this league, you know, and especially for the Detroit Lions, why are you, if a guy is, let's say Dan doesn't win a game this year, all right, hopefully not, but let's just say it. Next year he wins 3-4 games. You're going to be confidently preaching to the choir to keep him for another 2 years. I think we've seen enough. I have, at least. I think if you add enough talent next year, win 5 games, win 6 games. If you're in the 1 to 3 win category in 2 years, I don't want you as my head coach.
You guys need to take it easy on Kennedy in the chat. She is sick today. To give her, to be fair to her, she's going to get her Ohio State roasting tomorrow. It's going to be a great day. I am going to enjoy it so much. We'll get to Kennedy tomorrow, but we got to head to break. When we get back, we've got a spicy conversation. Mr. Aiden Hutchinson himself, maybe Mr. Heisman, who knows? We'll talk about that right after the break. But before we go, I got to tell you about MyBookie, guys. MyBookie is the premier place to place your sports bets. It's Cyber Monday. With MyBookie, they're giving you bet one, get one free promotion on the Monday Night Football game. On Cyber Monday, bet against the spread on Week 12. on the Monday Night Football game, and whatever you wager up to $100, you'll receive the same value back in a risk-free bet. So sign up today using code Woodward, put in $100, they'll match it, they'll give you $100, and then you use their promo and you get another $100 risk-free. Sounds like a good deal to me. Bet from anywhere, anytime, using my bookie. Again, that's code Woodward. Sign up, make your first deposit today. They'll match you dollar for dollar. And please, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-270-7117.
Tony is a third-generation logger that has a simple, practical approach to life and work. That's why his Coast DX342 knife is perfect for him. The stainless steel blade is rust-resistant and made for all-weather use. And the double roll-lock safety ensures that it will never inadvertently close when he doesn't want it to. That's why Coast is trusted tough.
Follow us everywhere. Just search Woodward Sports on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, IG, and more.
All right, welcome back from the break. Aiden Hutchinson, 3 sacks, 15 quarterback pressures, and an outstanding performance against the Ohio State on Saturday. Jeff, did Aiden Hutchinson make a case for the Heisman Trophy?
It's certainly a case. It's hard for me to say. I mean, defensively, players don't get no love anymore. And Aiden Hutchinson, listen, as dominant as he has been this entire season, I think he, obviously, you know about the broke the sack record at Michigan. We know that. We know setting records for quarterback pressures, especially in Ohio State versus Michigan game. He's done all of it. And I want to bring this question up. Imagine if Hutchinson falls on that touchdown against Michigan State. I guess that changes the whole narrative because, but that's a whole nother conversation. But Hutchinson has been so valuable for this team. Ajabo as well. And I think that's what's going to take some of the flair out of it is you have Ajabo who has double-digit sacks on the same team. But Aiden Hutchinson, no doubt. I don't know about Heisman, but he's played himself into a number one overall conversation. And hometown kid, of course, but the Lions need to look at the best pass rusher. We talk about this. Kevon Thibodeau, Aiden Hutchinson, and Aiden Hutchinson has played his way to passing these guys. And for the Heisman, I think Bryce Young right now sneaking away with that win at Auburn didn't look pretty, but you got to win, big win, and we'll see what he does at Georgia. That's the big game we're all looking for. But I think C.J. Stroud played himself out of it. Kenneth Walker had a big game, but the game against Ohio State, I feel like is too much of a stain to carry him.
I don't think so.
I think
I'll tell
so.
you why.
And let me tell you why. Because look at the two last running back, both of them, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram. Both of them had a string of big games towards the end of the season. No one's won the Heisman having a bad game and then having a good game and just winning the Heisman.
I mean, 150 yards and a touchdown in the snow is, for me, not a bad game.
No,
he got hurt early against Ohio State,
about.
So his stats looked really bad.
Yes.
He was out after the first quarter. I mean, he didn't play.
He's not winning the Heisman, but he
I
certainly is that
don't know how
conversation.
you're going to discredit a guy that single-handedly put a program on his back and led them to a 10-2 season after 2-6 or 2-5 last year.
He had a tremendous season.
I mean, yeah. And it's a whole season. It's not just what'd you do for me lately. And Bryce Young has now had 3 bad performances throughout the season.
But gotta think about it.
He has a chance. I'm gonna give him this. He has a chance against Georgia to quiet everything else and win the Heisman. I'll totally acknowledge that. Having said that, I think right now Kenneth Walker's number 1. Bryce Young is solid at number 2, and I think Aiden Hutchinson moved himself up to number 3. And then in the Big Ten title game this Saturday, if he goes out and has another similar performance, I'm sorry, he might jump both of them. He might jump both of them if he goes out against Iowa and absolutely dominates like he did against Ohio State. And look, I'm not going to allow people to sit up here or anywhere in the chat or Twitter, it doesn't matter, and discredit Kenneth Walker.
No one's discrediting him.
To say that he's not going to win the Heisman when he was the clear front runner from week 1 all the way to week 11.
Okay.
He had one bad game, yes, against Ohio State. Are we going to forget the 5-touchdown performance against Michigan when they were undefeated? Michigan, keep in mind, are the potential Big Ten champions and are likely going to the college football playoff. That was a hell of a performance against a defense that just held Ohio State to 27 points. I'm not going to sit here. Bryce Young hasn't had a Heisman moment yet. He could have it against Georgia, but I still think he's behind Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker has been the Heisman front runner, in my opinion, since about week 4, week 5. And I don't think it's fair just because of one bad game where he did get hurt.
But that's the reality of it.
How?
I mean,
Bryce Young has had multiple bad games.
Bad games? The dude's 40-4 on the season. What do you? One interception's a bad game. He has one loss. We'll see against Georgia.
14 points against LSU and a double overtime win against Auburn.
Okay, number one, you're going to give the favor to a running back who, in past years, when running backs have won this award,
I don't care about past years.
This is reality.
No, it's not.
Okay, in Adam's imagination land, Kenneth Walker
Bryce Young
wins.
took over a national championship winning team. Okay, and they're loaded, they're studs, and he's doing what every Alabama quarterback does. He's putting up numbers. Congratulations, Bryce Young. He's a very good quarterback. Kenneth Walker joins a 2-5, transfers to a 2-5 Michigan State team. Second year under Mel Tucker. Peyton Thorne at quarterback.
It's magnificent.
Okay, it's so clear that Kenneth Walker's having the better year. You're just looking at Bryce Young's numbers and totally.
No, it's
you are, because what? He's 10-1. He has the game against Georgia.
Okay.
If he balls out against Georgia, I'll be fair. I think he probably wins the Heisman. But he needs to do that. He hasn't had a Heisman moment yet. Kenneth Walker has, and now Aiden Hutchinson has. And I think Aiden Hutchinson, with another performance similar to Saturday against Iowa, it's going to be hard not to. He's the best defensive player in the country right now.
Let me get this clear before I get you're taking me out of context.
I'm not.
Here. Listen,
Kenneth said it very clearly. Kenneth Walker should not win the Heisman, and he's not the favorite.
No,
Bryce Young is.
I didn't say he should not. I don't see him winning the Heisman. There's a difference. If I say he should not win the Heisman, that's me discrediting him. If I say he probably will not win the Heisman, that's just me being. That's reality.
No, you
that's
said
my
he
opinion.
will not win the Heisman. He shouldn't because you used Mark Ingram and Derrick Henry as an example. You made it very clear. These two guys, towards the end of the seasons, your words, they had big games going into the end of the year. Kenneth Walker didn't. He's not going to win it. What? I don't get it. You're going to discredit an entire body season of work just because he had one bad game against Ohio State. Then he follows it up against Penn State on the road in 6 to 8 inches of snow, runs for almost $150 and a touchdown. I mean, I don't get it.
But you're missing the whole Heisman. Devontae Smith won it as a wide receiver. It's a quarterback award for the most part. I understand that. You have to have a magnificent season to steal this award from anybody. Devontae Smith was able to do it. And now you have Kenneth Walker, who, to everybody's credit, let me get this out the way. He's having an amazing season. The Heisman moment against Michigan was a Heisman moment. It was. But it is. The Heisman Award is essentially, what have you done for me lately? The sad truth of it is that. And if Bryce Young has a big game against Georgia, he's winning the Heisman. Stroud, I don't think he's really in the conversation. Hutchinson, I would honestly put above those guys, even though they're quarterbacks. It's just me. It's my rankings. But Kenneth Walker, it's hard for me to really picture him coming out unless he has other guys just crap the bed. He can win the Heisman. But it's hard. I mean, it's hard. You have a string of Heisman performances, and you get hurt against Ohio State. You guys lose in that fashion. You come out, have another good game. I'm not saying he's not in the conversation, but I don't see him winning.
Devontae Smith, almost 2,000 yards receiving.
Yeah.
Over 20 touchdowns. And this was his competition. Trevor Lawrence in a down year at Clemson. Mac Jones, who was his quarterback, who was throwing him the football. Kyle Trask, Najee Harris, Breece Hall, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Ian Book, Kyle Pitts. He was a runaway Heisman winner, and he wasn't dealing with anybody. Who's Kenneth Walker competing with? Bryce Young? Bryce Young hasn't had a Heisman moment yet. Aiden Hutchinson has had one. Kenneth Walker, I can make the argument, has had 2 or 3. Bryce Young hasn't had one yet. They barely got out of the Iron Bowl. His numbers looked really good because of overtime. He had no touchdowns going into the fourth quarter.
Okay.
Look at the game as a whole, not just a box score. They had 0 points scored going into the fourth quarter. That's the Heisman Trophy winner, potentially. If he goes out against Georgia, puts up numbers against that defense, 3-4 touchdown performance, I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue against. No, it's not if he just wins. It's not just about wins.
The guy put up almost 600 yards. It's obviously not about stats either.
Heisman is an individual player award.
Right.
All right. Okay. Barry Sanders won the Heisman when he did because he accounted for over 2,000 yards rushing, 30-plus touchdowns. He was a punt and kick return specialist.
Did he go for 23 yards against Ohio State?
And they weren't national champions. What do you mean?
Okay, listen. The
game
against when Michigan State
He got hurt. He didn't play the rest of the game.
Okay, that's not my problem. I'm sorry. He was out of the game, so you're gonna that immediately progresses him right into number one of the. I don't know. That's not how it works to me.
You know what?
And
Kenneth
don't
Walker
agree.
has better stats than both Mark Ingram and Derrick Henry their Heisman years. So I love how easily you're just throwing him out of the case for it, but because of one bad game against Ohio
because
State
of their
where he
team
was
that
hurt.
year, because of what they were winning that year.
Dude, they played on Alabama.
Right.
He's playing for Michigan State.
So that's why they were able to listen. At the end of the day, it's going to be hard for Kenneth Walker to win Heisman. Good luck with that.
No, it's not.
Listen,
it's voters like you that are the reason why Kenneth Walker isn't considered the Heisman favorite right now. Why Hutchinson wasn't even a finalist in the voters award for the best defensive player in college football. It's thinking like that. That's how you're thinking. It's so irrational. It's unbelievable. But we got to go to break, Jeff. Could you tell everybody about actual defense? Bryce Young will be playing against Alabama this weekend.
Yeah, let me just talk about defense. Kind of like how they shut down Michigan State. Guardian Alarm gets it.
Michigan State.
A good defense on and off the field helps you feel secure. Guardian Alarm has state-of-the-art technology that helps you feel safe, all with 24/7 local monitoring. Guardian Alarm also has convenient features that let you check in on your home, control lights and temperatures, detect smoke or carbon monoxide. It will even let you lock and unlock doors. Call 800-STAY-OUT today. That's 800-STAY-OUT today. Your fish over there in the booth. Guardian Alarm has been trusted for over 90 years at keeping families safe.
I'm looking to bring on another HVAC tech right now.
We're recruiting 5 to 10 techs a month.
We're looking to grow and expand. Every new tech we hire is from Northwestern Tech.
The hands-on training is fantastic.
They're always my first call.
We love hiring Northwestern Tech grads.
They come out trained and ready to work.
Our program is only 10 and a half months, and our next classes are starting soon. So why wait?
I'm looking to hire
Hire a graduate
of Northwestern Tech. Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Hi, I'm David Hall from Hall Financial. Choosing between a 15 or 30-year mortgage can be difficult, which is why we offer the Modern Mortgage, a flexible term that's customized for you. 866-CALL-HALL or chat with us online at callhallfirst.com.
Woodward Sports. Missed part of the show today? Watch again on YouTube or download the podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Lincoln Riley is officially leaving Oklahoma to become the head coach at the Southern Cal University. Unbelievable. USC is back, baby.
It's fitting.
USC is back, and we're joined by our Detroit Lions beat reporter, Corey Woods, who also broke the story on Lincoln Riley as well. He was one of the early people that sent it out. He sent me a text message. I didn't even believe him. I thought he was trolling me. And you know what, Corey, I want to get your take first before anything. Kind of walk me through, what happened, what got us to this point with Lincoln Riley, and then I'll kind of show what I think. But kind of walk us through the whole story, man.
I'm still trying to make sense of it because we all heard, Lincoln Riley was talking about he was committed to OU. I'm staying there. And then they asked him about LSU, and he said he just cut the guy off. I'm not going to LSU. Apparently, everybody was asking the wrong questions because USC came with the bag. And, I want to bring up something that is pretty interesting. Do you know that he had like a whole ton of recruits? Most of his top recruits are out of Southern Cal. Over the quarterback, wide receiver, running back.
3 have already decommitted.
And they've already,
2 of them are 5 stars. And one being a 5-star quarterback, by the way.
So, I mean, I'm still trying to make sense of. Like I said, I hit you up.
I think it's a great move, man.
Oh, he's going to run that division. It's about to be game time.
It was the best job in the country.
Do you want
going to be available,
or Alabama and Georgia in a couple of years? I mean, it's simple.
Yeah,
it's
Oklahoma and Texas. Honestly, they wrote their programs into the abyss by accepting to join the SEC.
It's over.
They're going to become Missouri, Vanderbilt. That's what they're going to become. Mm-hmm. Oklahoma is going to become an irrelevant program, and the better job was USC. Guys, we talk about it with Michigan. How fun is it to talk about Michigan when they're good? Imagine college football at a whole when
Southern
USC
California
is back on the map. USC in 2 to 3 years will be in the college football playoff.
Oh, easily.
He's going to dominate Southern California recruiting. They're going to have some of, if not the most talented teams outside of Alabama and Georgia year to year.
Yep.
And Ohio State. I mean, this move, you want to talk about like historically altering decisions? This is definitely one of them.
And what's crazy is not the fact that he just got hired. It's how quickly it went. It went from denying on one day to taking the job Sunday, and today he's getting introduced.
To be fair, if they had beaten Oklahoma State, this wouldn't have happened for another few weeks. They would have played the Big 12 title game, and then if they didn't get into the college football playoff, it would have worked. The fact that they lost eliminated. He's not going to play a meaningless bowl game. Let me just take the job now. It was the right move. Let's get started on recruiting. USC is a 10-win team next year. USC will win 10 games in the Pac-12 next year, and then they're going to go undefeated by year 3, likely, given what they schedule. That's easily a 11, 12-win team every single year now. USC is back, and it's going to be so fun to watch. I miss seeing them on nationally televised night games. USC being good is one of the best things for college football, and I thought it was a great move, Corey. Honestly, I mean, it's the better job. Do you want to play Georgia and Bama every single year, potentially in their division? Or do you want to go against Oregon, Utah?
He runs it. Yeah.
Like, he's going to run the Pac-12.
Yeah, so here are their
Pac-12 is going to look like the Big 12 in about a year and a half.
Here are the commitments they had. They had Raleek Brown, 5-star running back, Malachi Nelson, 5-star QB, and Mekhi Lemon, 5-star wide receiver, and 4-star wide receiver DeAndre Moore, all from Southern Cal. I think we all know where they're going.
Yep. And
they're staying at the crib.
A lot of these top recruits, man, coming out of California, Southern California specifically, and now you got Lincoln Riley coming in your house talking to your parents. It's a wrap. Good for him, man. I mean, 55-10.
He's a good coach. I think he made one blunder in his career. It was they held, I believe, Georgia to a field goal in overtime. 4th and 1. Heisman quarterback, running back, I believe at the time had over 200 yards running, and he chose to kick the field goal, and they ultimately lost that game. Regardless, Lincoln Riley's a good coach, just like Ryan Day is a good coach. The loss on Saturday doesn't mean he's a bad coach. Having said that, you know what, Corey? We got to talk, buddy. Before we talk about the Lions, we got to talk about Don Brown in Michigan.
Hey, I mean,
can you remind people?
All you got to do is just roll back the tape. Me and Adam Ben said this was going to happen. We said get rid of Don Brown and things are going to change in Ann Arbor.
Unbelievable. Corey, I was at the game on Saturday. It was my first ever Michigan game, by the way. So I got to experience one of the most historic wins. The weather made it so much better.
Oh, yeah.
It was snowing. It was such a great atmosphere, amazing environment.
It was the perfect storm of everything.
The singing,
the perfect ingredients.
Everything that was going on. It was amazing to watch. Having said that, how big was this? I think it's program changing. I really do.
I'm not joking when I say this, even though Harbaugh has a bowl win with Stanford. I think this is the biggest win of his college coaching career, bar none.
And the next one could be Saturday.
Yeah, it definitely, and it could continue on going.
Yeah.
From here, each win could end up.
And
these
then the
next
Rose
couple
Bowl
of
to
wins
get
could
into
be
the final. Yep.
Yeah, it can keep on going, but I think it is a program altering win. As I said, 7 in my article on Woodward Sports. 7 is the magic number for him, the year of completion. In his 7th year, he went ahead and slayed the beast, Ohio State, and you already see what that's doing by how they throttled Ohio State. They're already getting more commitments in as we speak. I think this is the win that they needed to put them on the map, put them back on the map, I should say, and be taken seriously. Like, hey, he is the guy. Also, too, that win should have effective immediately ended all of the Harbaugh on the hot seat takes that everybody was ready to go with. I mean, granted, he did not beat his rival up until Saturday, the arch rival, but he brought Michigan back to what they've always been, a 9, 10, sometimes 11, 12-win team.
First 11-win season since Brady Hoke, and prior to that, another 15 years you have to go back.
Yeah. Since
their last 11-win year. And Corey, Alex, if you could bring up the graphic again, you could just put it on the whole screen. You don't have to put us in it, but Corey, if you want to take a look, I made the comparison before the season started. Dabo Swinney and Jim Harbaugh. Very similar records in their first 6 seasons. And then year 7, Dabo Swinney goes 10-3. Now Jim Harbaugh in year 7, 11-1. But what happens after year 7, Corey, for Clemson? Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, and with Michigan, it's looking like J.J. McCarthy, and who knows who's next after that. That's what I'm seeing. And Jim Harbaugh mentioned in the post-game press conference, this feels like the beginning.
And also, too,
I really believe that.
I got to give him credit, too, for this. And they mentioned during the broadcast, Jim Harbaugh continued to tinker with that staff until he got the right combination. And the right combination was getting younger.
Yeah.
I believe they
New
said
ideas, fresh opinions.
I believe he said all of his coaching staff is like most of the coaching staff is under 45.
Yep.
15, that's needed.
15 hires in the offseason of coaches under 45 years old.
That's needed. They need somebody that can connect.
That's only worked once. I forget his name. The great Texas head coach. He did it towards the end of his career. It kind of worked. Oh no, Bob Stoops did it. Excuse me. It was Bob Stoops who actually did this, and Lincoln Riley was one of those hires. And we all remember how that worked out.
Yeah.
Oklahoma became very good, and then he passed the baton over to Lincoln Riley. So Jim Harbaugh, look, he needs to win on Saturday. We all know there's still a game ahead, but just for this one moment on a Monday morning, damn it, that was amazing.
Oh, and it was a beautiful scene too, just watching the fans rush on the field. I was wondering if they were going to do it. They had to. They had to. I mean, and I know the guy, and I know the PA announcer. They had to put the sign up there, leave the field.
They tried. They tried.
Nobody was leaving that field no time soon.
Mr. Brightside on the field. It was electric. It was electric. Joe Klatt was walking with fans on the way out. There was a Fox kickoff, obviously outside. It was the best environment I've ever been a part of, and I've been to like a ton of games. First ever Michigan game, but Jesus, that was special.
I'm gonna make a request live. I'm waiting to see if I'm going to be credentialed for this game. If I get credentialed, please send me. I need to see something special for football this year. It's been a rough year for me.
Okay, so where I was sitting, fun fact, people recognized me at the game. It was extremely awkward. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So people knew exactly who I was. And I had multiple people walk up to me and some gave me a ton of crap, and others were like, hey, we really like what you do, whatever. But the people I was sitting next to knew exactly who I was, and the whole game they were saying man, Adam, the Lions are 0-10-1. We need this. Michigan's got to give us something. If the Lions are going to not win a game, at least let's win the Big Ten and beat Ohio State. I'm like, yeah, let's hope so. We're all cheering for Michigan. It was the funniest thing ever.
This state needs good football to cheer. They needed some type of moment. Mm-hmm. Michigan being 11-1, Michigan State being 10-2. This is great. Really, the only thing that we need the Lions to do right now is just win one game.
That's what I said earlier, Corey, and I want your opinion on this real quick. If the Lions are 2-8-1, or 2-9, or 1-9-1, for example, I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's okay, it's a rebuild. They're going to lose a lot of games. That's fine. They'll end up with 2-3 wins. Right now, you don't even know if they're going to win a game.
That's the problem. I think if they win 2 or 3 games, it's okay. We know they're a bad
Hugh
team.
Jackson right now.
We know they're a bad team, but okay, they got something. If they go goose egg 0-16-1, they go goose egg. I'm not.
It's Hugh Jackson, gonna say man. It's Hugh Jackson. I'll say it for you. But we got 2 minutes. I want to get this by you real quick.
All right.
An avid Michigan. You follow Michigan a ton.
Oh yeah.
But I want to stay in the state, but not with Michigan football. Michigan State football.
Okay.
Look, we talked about Heisman. Hutchinson obviously made a big push for it.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be tough for him to win unless he goes out and delivers another performance like he did against Iowa. If he does, I think he totally deserves the conversation votes. Having said that, I still think K9 is number 1. I think Bryce Young number 2. I think Aiden now at 3. Can you kind of walk me through a scenario where national media in general are leaning towards Bryce Young over Kenneth Walker? Because I'm seeing it a lot, and people have made the case for Bryce Young over Kenneth Walker. I just don't see how you give the award to anybody outside of him, considering 2-5 to 10-2, put the team on his back, huge win at home against Michigan, led that comeback, lost 2 games. Played well against Purdue in that loss. They didn't run him. I don't know why. They were only down a score, and they totally botched that. He gets hurt against Ohio State. The numbers don't look good, of course, but he got hurt in the first quarter. He didn't play the rest of the game. Is Kenneth Walker still the Heisman favorite in your opinion? I think he is. And I don't see how you give that award to anybody unless Bryce Young goes out against Georgia and absolutely dominates.
I just haven't seen enough from anybody to knock him off the top spot yet. I mean, has he played? Like you said, he had the injury against Ohio State. I mean, you got to factor that in. I just haven't seen anybody that knock him off yet. But again, Aiden Hutchinson is the guy at the moment right now. So if he does go out and has a phenomenal game against Iowa, he could catapult himself into, now being the second favorite. Right now, he's the third odds favorite, according to, one of the sports books who win the Heisman. And you heard what Kirk Ferentz said yesterday. He put him in the conversation of guys like J.J. Watt, Reggie White, Howie Long. That's some hella names to be linked with. So, I mean, I like K9 still for Heisman, but if it were to come down to a guy that's winning it, I think off of a strong showing this coming Saturday, it could be Hutchinson.
I think Hutchinson makes a damn good case if he goes out with 2-3 sacks.
Also too, he broke Michigan's all-time sack season, a single sack season record, passing Lamar Woodley.
But he's been the best defensive player in college football. I mean, look beyond the sacks. I think sacks are a bogus number, honestly. Yeah. Look at quarterback pressures. Since the stats started being recorded,
15 pressures against Ohio State,
the most ever recorded. That is unbelievable.
The most since PFF started recording the stat. So,
Corey, you want to stick around after the break?
Sure.
All right, we got to talk about Aiden Hutchinson and what the Lions should do at number 1. You down for that?
Oh yeah, I just wrote an article on it. It just went up.
Perfect. This is good timing. All right, guys, we got to go to break. When we get back, we're going to talk with Corey about the Lions' number 1 overall pick. What should they do with it? We'll talk about it next. But before we go, I got to talk to you about my very good friends. They have a special place in my heart, the Carpet Guys. Thinking of new flooring? All month long, the Carpet Guys are giving you up to 60% off on select flooring options. Carpet, hardwood, vinyl, or laminate. They do it all. For the best installation and a lifetime installation warranty, there's only one place to call. Be wise and call the Carpet Guys. That's 855-4MY-GUYS. Again, be wise. Call the Carpet Guys at 855-4MY-GUYS. Great people, family-owned, locally operated. The Carpet Guys, guys, give them a visit.
Fellas, football season is here. It's time to make your grooming experience easy like Sunday morning. Get to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in, relax, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Hi, I'm David Hall from Hall Financial. Did you know mortgage rates are still at generational lows? If you haven't refinanced your home loan yet, there's still time. Now is your second chance to refinance. You could lower your monthly payment, eliminate credit card debt, or even take cash out by using your home's equity. Call Hall Financial now to get started with your free 5-minute mortgage review. 866-CALL-HALL or chat with us online at callhallfirst.com.
Early draft talk is always fun. The Detroit Lions projected to have the number 1 overall pick. You fast forward, let's say they do finish the season with the worst record. Corey Wood's joining us, Detroit Lions beat reporter for Woodward Sports. Corey, you have the number 1 overall pick. I'm going to let you take the floor. What do you do with it? Are you taking Kayvon Thibodeau? Are you taking Aiden Hutchinson? Or are you trading back to a team that's desperate for a quarterback and maybe you end up with Hutchinson or Kyle Hamilton at 5 or 6? I don't think Hutchinson's going past 3. So if you're going to trade, you can really only trade back 2 spots. And does that team at 3 want a quarterback? And if they don't, well, you're stuck at 1. Or you're not stuck and you trade back. What do you do, Corey?
Whoo! Damn. I'm going to be honest. I'm loving Aiden Hutchinson right now. Dearborn native. Would be a slam dunk pick to get the hometown guy.
Dude, he went to Divine Child. I didn't know that.
Yeah, would be a slam dunk to get the hometown guy, and especially with him playing some of the best football of any defensive player in the nation. But you also got Thibodeau, who's up for the Chuck Bednarik Award for the nation's top defensive player. And I'm going to be honest, if you're going strictly off of stats alone, Hutchinson is having better numbers, but when you're just looking at the tape, Thibodeau he's a MFing problem. He's quick. He has a quick burst off the line, great closing speed, whether it's his swim moves, whether it's dip rips. he's going to find his way to the quarterback. He is for the type of locker room that the Detroit Lions are trying to build, he's a violent type of guy. You're putting him up with Aleem, Levi, the Roquaris. He could be a slam dunk pick for
Looks
the Lions
like
at
Myles
number
Garrett
1.
to me. What do you think?
You said what?
Looks like Myles Garrett to me. What do you think?
Kavon?
Not bad. I would say he's a
I
little
think
bit
Myles, I
bit
don't think he's
quicker.
as he's not as huge. Maybe,
but I think Myles was better coming out of college. I think than Kavon. I think if they were in the same draft, it would go Myles by.
You definitely go Myles.
Yeah.
I think Kavon is more athletic. He's more of a freakish athlete to me. But if you're talking about like you want the guy who looks more, I guess you can say pro ready. I mean,
Hutchinson looks like T.J. Watt.
Yeah. Hutchinson looks.
He looks like a guy that's going to, in 5 years from now, have about 62 sacks. And you're going to be like, man, we passed on him. And again, at number 1 overall, you're expecting a Hall of Fame player.
Yeah.
When you draft somebody number 1 overall.
Honestly, you really cannot go wrong with either one of them. I would not have a problem with getting either one of them for this simple fact. I've seen what Aaron Glenn has done with not the best talent. You give him a guy like this, oh boy, it could get real serious.
We were talking about that earlier. Aaron Glenn has done a phenomenal job all year. The defense, he's working with nothing, and he's putting together a bend, don't break defense.
I mean,
that is impressive.
They're holding guys to like 16 to 20 points.
If you can't win holding teams to 16, 18, 16, 14, and 10, well then, you don't deserve to be winning football games. And Corey, while we have you here, we can transition just a little bit off the pick. What's going on with play calling? They're going in. Is Dan Campbell on an extended week, probably 10, 11 days now? Are they going back to Anthony Lynn? What does it look like going into the week? Or is he taking over play calling for the remainder of the year, and I have to watch that bogus for the next 6 games?
I think that they have to give the play calling back to Anthony Lynn. At this point, you wanted to try something different to see if it worked. It didn't work. They got the tie in spite of Dan Campbell's play calling against the Steelers. It's a bad fit right now. He needs to go back to doing what he was doing, being the emotional leader of this team and of the locker room, and leave the X's and O's to Anthony Lynn and Aaron Glenn. And now if you want to go ahead and move on from Anthony Lynn in the offseason, so be it. But right now, it's the offense looks stagnant. It doesn't look like there's no identity.
Corey,
there's no moving the ball. It's horrible to watch.
Imagine we live in a world where you have a running back coming off of back-to-back 100-yard games, rushing, looks solid. And then what do? The moment Jamal Williams returns on a short week, you give him all the carries in the first quarter.
It makes no sense. I mean, you want to work Jamal Williams back into the offense, fine. I believe you should work Jamal Williams back into the offense. He's your workhorse.
What if the Bears struggled with all year? What if the Bears struggled with all year? Say it, Corey. Say it. What have they struggled with?
I'm not saying it.
Stopping the run. They've struggled against backs who are dual purpose, or are dual threats, I should say.
And Swift has been that.
And
they have no Khalil Mack.
And what was the game plan? We are going to run the ball with Jamal Williams.
With Swift playing some of his best ball.
Best of his career.
So I don't, again, I said it last week, it's almost like you don't want to ask and be disrespectful and say, are you tanking? But it's like the play calling is so mind-boggling, it makes you wonder if it is intentional.
No,
it makes you wonder.
Yeah, I have something extremely special for you here. Where is it? Here we go. Oh, my goodness. You're going to love this. Play calling. You guys want to talk about play calling? Jared Goff dropped back and threw the ball 25 times. 21 to 25, 171 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. On the 7 passes he threw that were 8 yards or more downfield, he was 5 of 7, 86 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
And you know what?
You were effective. And the other 18 passes that were 8 yards or fewer, 7 being behind the line of freaking scrimmage, you were, what was it? 16 of 18 for 85 yards.
That also really confused me about Goff. I mean, they're saying he couldn't throw the ball downfield.
He was throwing the ball just fine.
I see when on that
Josh
touchdown,
Reynolds was running
39-yard
comeback
touchdown pass.
He was running comeback routes, dig routes. He looked like a damn wide receiver.
Saw that in person. It was beautiful.
And they continued to throw.
I didn't get it. I'm like, this is the most composed and poised I've seen Jared Goff all season, and you don't let him go out there and do his thing. Why not? It wasn't broke.
Is TJ Hutchinson even a tight end, or is he just a lineman?
I'm at this point, you got to wonder. I mean, he's one of your primary targets, and you can't find a way to get him the ball. It's got to be play calling, because we've seen plays when Jared Goff can get those guys the ball. We've seen it. We're not saying he's a good to great quarterback. We've seen that he can game manage.
Yes.
If the play calling is right.
How do I say this? Do you think this is a winless roster? Be honest. I don't think so.
I don't think this is a winless roster.
I think it's a good roster to an extent. I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be.
I said, what did I say at the beginning of this season? I said this is a 5, maybe 6 win team. As constructed, this is a 5-6 win team. This is not a 0-9. This is not a 0-10-1 team. I'm sorry. You're not gonna convince me of that. It's down to the play calling, and Dan Campbell's going to have to answer some questions about this, because this is the thing about the Lions this season. Do they have bad players? I don't want to say they have bad players. I don't want to say they don't have the greatest players.
I think they're
not
extremely hurt defensively.
Yes.
And they're missing wide receivers.
But that's not why they're losing games. They're losing games because of bad coaching decisions. If they were just getting blown off the water each week, like, man, this is a bad roster. They can't stop anybody. They can't do anything. That's not the case.
Corey, if you're on the sideline and the Bears are playing press on your wide receivers, do you think it's ideal to run a wide receiver screen? I'm asking a question for a friend. No? Well, what if they're playing 7 yards off the wide receiver? Don't you think that would be a good time to maybe run a wide receiver screen? I thought so.
I got a better question for you. And this is one that really had me kind of confused. Dan Campbell said it and Jared Goff said it. On the 3rd and 32, when they decided to run the draw, they said there's no play for a 3rd and 32. Okay, that's fine. Why not try to get half of that? Why not just go up? Why not just chuck it up and see what happens? Maybe you get a flag. Who knows? Maybe the guy catches. You don't know.
I don't agree with. I'm sorry, guys in the chat. Rock, I usually agree with a lot of what you say. Not today. I'm sorry. This is not expansion talent level. You have one of the better offensive lines in the NFL. You have a premier tight end, a premier backfield. Yes, you're missing at the wide receiver. I totally agree. The wide receiving core is not great. Your quarterback is a game-managing quarterback. You can do just fine with him. And your defense is completely obliterated, and it's only given up roughly around 22, 23 points a game. And recently, they haven't given up more than 20, I want to say, in the last 4.
I think the Lions are top, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the Lions right now are top 15 in the league against the pass.
Yes.
And that's with undrafted free agents.
And they have totally nosedive in the wrong direction in terms of offense. And what did we say going into the year? The offense is going to be good. A good offensive line, a solid run game, set up Goff with the play action. You've done none of that.
Nothing of that. They've done none of it. They've done nothing to highlight what Jared Goff does well all season long. That's why they're winless. We're not calling him. They're not saying he's better than Matthew Stafford. We're not saying he's better than any of these guys.
I just don't understand how you're 5 of 7, throwing the ball 8 yards or more downfield
and
with 2 touchdowns, and you totally abandon it after the second quarter. You give up on it. It was working. Chicago isn't some world-beating team where they have Jalen Ramsey, and I don't blame you for not throwing the ball downfield. It's Chicago. They're not any better than you.
Do you think it's incompetence?
I think it's stupidity. I think incompetence is too nice of a word. I think it's stupidity. I think he's in over his head, man. He reminds me of Hugh Jackson. Aaron Glenn could call a better offense.
But let me bring this up because I brought this point up earlier. We talked about the Lions this season. They're winless. But in a scenario where they manage to get 20 points And in some of these games, they're 5-6 record-wise. So how important is it? Because I talk about it all the time. A head coach is only as good as his coordinators. And Dan Campbell, if your offense was able to produce anything at all, and they're 5-6, it changes the tide dramatically. I know you probably heard this around the building. Is Anthony Lynn for sure? Is he done? Or are they reevaluating that position in the offseason? Because I am so sick of just any play calling. Dan Campbell shouldn't even have to worry about the offense. He should be involved, but that should not. Look at Robert Saleh in New York. I'm sure he's not sitting down drawing up plays with Mike LaFleur. Mike LaFleur handles it. So what are they doing?
For better or worse, I think that Anthony Lynn is going to be the scapegoat when it's all said and done for this offense. Whether anybody agrees or doesn't agree, I believe he will be the odd man out at the end of the season, because they're going to have to change some things. They're going to have to change some things to sell it to draft picks, to free agents, to the fans. Somebody's gonna have to fall on the sword.
Hold that thought. Stick around. We got to go to break. When we get back, we're going to continue this discussion for a little bit in regards to the Detroit Lions. Really, what the Lions should do in the offseason in terms of their coaching staff. But Jeff, could you please tell everybody at home about Lady Jane's?
Yeah, fellas, football season is here. It's time to make your grooming experience easy like Sunday morning. Get to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in, relax, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime because it is wicked awesome.
Okay, you thirsty little spin goblins. I want you to pedal into the next dimension. Spin it! Spin! Spin! Uh-oh! Carmen's falling behind. Let's give her the hiss of shame. Spin! Spin! Spin till you bleed!
Don't ride the bike of shame. Come to Planet Fitness and find your own lane with tons of equipment, free fitness training, and no hissing. Join today for just $10 a month.
Your Detroit alternative to the normal sports blah, blah, blah. It's Woodward Sports.
Good morning. We are joined by the one and the only Corey Woods, Detroit Lions beat reporter for the Woodward Sports Network. Thank you for tuning in this morning. Kennedy Broadwell out sick. She'll be back tomorrow. We'll give her crap about Ohio State. But Corey, we got to continue our conversation before the break ended. The Detroit Lions coaching staff situation. You said that Anthony Lynn is likely the scapegoat this year. I tend to agree with that. What does next year look like? They're going to get good talent. The Lions are going to walk away in the first 2 rounds with 3 starters. Potentially more if they trade back. They're going to have players. They're going to sign veteran free agents who are just looking for a good pay. I wouldn't say good pay, but, just a place to play. They're not looking to win. They're kind of past their prime. No real team is looking at them. They're going to go to the Lions. You're going to have a decent roster next year. And Jared Goff is going to be your quarterback. You brought this up. Is Jared Goff the scapegoat next year? Who's the scapegoat next year? That's what I want to know. Because all I'm gonna hear is excuses for this team. And I'm sitting there. Bill Belichick had a very similar cap situation that the Detroit Lions are currently in. Managed to win 7 games last year with just as bad, if not a worse roster. 0 offensive talent. All of his key defensive starters, don't say all of his key defensive starters were sat out because of COVID, and they still won 7 games, and he won it with Cam Newton, who looks like an absolute bum in Carolina. And Dan Campbell takes over a 5-win team, and they may not even win a game. And apparently the roster is the worst roster in the NFL, even though their offensive talent is better than Houston, New York. I could make the argument over Jacksonville. Corey, help me here, man.
Scapegoat next year. Got to be the coaching if things don't turn out the way they're supposed to. Because everybody knows that Jared Goff is a bridge quarterback. I don't think that's a secret that he's the guy
for now.
Until they go draft the guy. And they're not going to find. I don't think they're going to find that guy in this year's draft. They may grab somebody in the later rounds, but it's going to be Jared. It's going to be either Dan Campbell or Jared Goff for next season. I think that depending on how this season finishes out, will determine that, because like I said, I think if they go 0-16-1, yeah, you could say it might be unfair to go ahead and cut ties with Dan Campbell, but the conversation could enter.
Okay, let's just forget the record. Let's say I'm going to totally absolve everybody from the record.
Okay.
And let's say I totally want to ignore what I've seen on the field and what I've seen from coaching, which is very difficult to do. Dan Campbell, what do you see? You're there every day. And excuse me when I say this. I don't mean it in a demeaning way. I really don't. And I'm not trying to come off as, I'm not slandering him. But what the hell makes him qualified to be a head coach in the NFL? And what do you see? What are the outside of the? I'll totally give him this. Seems extremely good for culture, but last I checked, you build culture in the NFL by winning, not just making everybody like you. Everybody loved Jim Caldwell. That didn't mean a damn thing. What does he offer? What have you seen on the field from a coaching perspective outside of Aaron Glenn? Don't give me that he's responsible for what Aaron Glenn is doing. I don't want to hear it. Anthony Lynn's done an awful job. He's taken over. It don't look any better. It's actually worse. At least with Anthony Lynn, you were moving the ball downfield. You just had one of the worst red zone efficiency rates in the NFL. You're not even moving the ball. You're just punting and you're running on 3rd and 8 situations.
I mean, look at you are what your record says. At the end of the day, Dan Campbell is a great emotional leader for the Lions. He's a good guy. Entertaining press conference. But that doesn't put W's in the column.
Corey.
And to this point, I have not seen anything where this is the right pick for a head coach. Granted, Matt Patricia was horrible for Lions culture. He wasn't great. The players didn't like him. The players didn't want to play for him. Players did not want to come here because of him. Still, you got to give him this, though. And I hate to say it, he won games. Right now, the Lions are not winning games. And whether it's a rebuild or not, nobody wants to see this team lose games because of their head coach's decisions. I have not seen anything that where I can just hang my hat on and be like, okay, they're going to turn it over this week or they're going to turn it over that week.
I'm going to use this example. Brian Flores last year wins 10 games. Miami defense top 10 in the league, overachieve with Ryan Fitzpatrick basically in and out with Tua at quarterback, who was a rookie. This year they start 1-7, Corey. I had total confidence in Brian Flores. They've won 4 straight now. They're 5-7. Now, likely not to make the playoffs, but still, you can see coaching. Matt Rule, for all the flaws that team has, he's won 10 games now in 2 years, or a year and a half, I should say, without a quarterback, without Christian McCaffrey, with a banged-up defense, and that's what he relies on. Where's the coaching? When does that matter? I don't get it. I don't see the guy that takes his team from what they are now and next year to a 10, 11, 12 win team that's going to compete against Matt LaFleur, who's now 9-0 after a loss. But it's all Aaron Rodgers, right? Matt LaFleur's not a good coach. Kill me, Corey. Kill me.
Sorry.
I wish there was something. I really do. Rooting for Dan Campbell, he's Hugh Jackson. He just is.
Yeah.
And that's the reality. When you're 0-10-1, that's really bad. No team has ever started 0-10-1. You want to be? That's how people are looking at this team. Well, we lost close games. The 0-16 Lions were notorious for losing close games. Did they keep Rod Marinelli? The hell they did.
I just don't see.
What made Matt Patricia? I love this question. What made Matt Patricia qualified? Okay, that is totally fair. Coordinating experience. Yes, Bob Quinn, buddy, we all understand the story. But at the time, whether you like it or not, Corey Woods, please back me up on this. Was he not a hot commodity around the NFL for the Indy job, the New York Giants job, and the Detroit Lions job?
He was definitely mentioned.
He was
even though I didn't agree with it, but
it doesn't matter if we agreed with it. It's not the point. Was he a hot commodity?
He was a commodity.
And Dan Campbell cold called for his job. Nobody gave him a damn interview. He called Sheila and made a cold call pitch. And the Lions are the only team that interviewed him. And he got the job. He wasn't some sought-after coordinator with prior experience. What was he, an assistant to the head coach? What the hell is that? I was
an interim
I
at
was
one point.
I was an assistant to the CEO at Apple. Give me all the credit for what Steve Jobs did. You freaking idiots. I don't get it, Corey. I just don't. He's Hugh Jackson, man. That's what I see. And I liked Hugh. He's a good guy. Hugh Jackson was a good guy.
Yeah, it's just...
But, dude, you're not it. You're not. You're Hugh Jackson. And the Lions need to find their Kevin Stefanski 2-3 years from now. That's
I will
the
say
reality.
this. He has several games left to go ahead and turn this around. Well, not turn it around. To win a game, get some favor back in there. I believe that if the Lions can get about 2 games out of these next couple of weeks, I think that he will save him. He will do himself some favors. I'm thinking the Falcons game, possibly the Broncos. I'm not sure. They're kind of looking really good. They're looking better. But past, Falcons, Seattle's on the ropes right now, and then Broncos. I think those are the only chances the Lions may have at a W this season. If they're able to get out 1 or 2 of those,
if they can win 2 games, you'll tolerate the offseason.
Yeah.
If they go winless,
it's going to be a hard sell.
It's going to be an insufferable offseason. And he'll still be the head coach. They're not going to fire him.
Yeah.
I'm not calling for his job. He's going to get all of next year. But you'll know Thanksgiving. I keep saying this. Thanksgiving of next year, you're going to know if he's the coach or not.
But the problem is that while he will be the coach next year, it's going to be a hard sell for fans because, again, it comes down to the fact that they've lost games because of his coaching, not because they were outplayed. They lost games because of coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, I don't know.
I like this question. I like this question in the chat. If Matt Patricia was a head coach under a different GM, would he have been different? I don't think so.
No.
I still think he would have been the same.
I still think that
just as awful.
That Belichick tree, that all of his assistants, they've all kind of faltered. I mean, maybe the one who's had the most quote unquote success is Bill O'Brien, and that wasn't really success. I know a lot of people like to say Mike Vrabel. He played for Bill Belichick. He wasn't a Bill under the Belichick coaching tree, so I don't really kind of count him. But none of his assistants have ever fared well and done anything of significance anywhere. So, I mean, no, I don't think
you're
Matt
not
Patricia
firing Dan Campbell after 1 year, guys. Stop in the chat. You're not going to fire him. He's going to be the head coach for 2 full seasons. Whether or not
he's going to get next year. He's coming back next year.
100%. It's not
he's
even a
coming
question.
Back next year.
It's not even a question.
It's just going to be for fans. Like I said, I'm specifically saying for fans, it's going to be a hard sell if he does not win a game.
It's going to be an awful offseason. Having said that, we'll transition to one more thing before we head to break. I see a lot of Malik Willis in the chat. Lamar Jackson, 4 interceptions last night. He's regressed over the last 4 weeks. Miami seemed to figure him out. In Cleveland, they have Baker Mayfield, so there's no way they were going to win that game anyways, even if Lamar threw 4 picks, which he did. I don't like Malik Willis as a prospect. I don't think he was the athlete Lamar was. I don't think he's as dynamic, and I don't think he throws the football as well as Lamar. Lamar throws a good football. I'm not taking on the Malik Willis project. I don't think that's the way for the Lions to go. I think a Kenny Pickett, I think Carson Strong. If you're going to take a flyer in the 2nd or 3rd round, go for it. But you're not taking a quarterback #1 overall. We all know this.
Oh, God, no.
So you're rehauling the roster. Do that. And worry about the quarterback later. $30 million in the books next year with Jared Goff. It's guaranteed. It's on the books. No changing it.
I going to be 100% honest, because I'm so deep into the Lions, I'm just not really starting to doing a dive into prospects coming up because the draft is going to come up real quickly. You know, this season is basically done. So I'm now just starting to get a real deep dive on guys. So I have not seen a lot of tape on him, but I will say this. From everything that I have seen, I have not seen anything where the Lions should not go defense with that first pick. There is no reason that if everything stays the way that it's going right now, the Lions should not go Thibodeau or Hutchinson.
Does Desmond Ritter remind you of Deshaun Watson at all? No?
Nobody reminds me of Deshaun Watson.
I'm really curious to see what they do with Deshaun Watson in the offseason. That's going to be huge drama. But I'm seeing something in the chat I want to bring up real quick before we head to break. The trend in the NFL so far is, find the offensive, young-minded coach. And what are we looking at going into the year? Or next year, I should say the off-season. Joe Brady, likely to be looked at for a job.
Mm-hmm.
Kellen Moore. I think Mike LaFleur, New York, eventually, but not next year. I think he's going to stick around with Robert Saleh, and they're going to get that project going. You have Kellen Moore, Joe Brady, Brian Dabble. Guys that offensive-minded, young. Let's say there's a group of 5. 2 of them are going to be home runs. Do you just sit back and watch the league run by you while you're sitting there with Dan Campbell, who is not any of them? What do you do, Corey, in that situation? We've seen the Cardinals hire a coach, fire him, grab Kingsbury, draft Kyler, and it all changes from there. Now, this isn't the draft where you're going to get a quarterback. We can all acknowledge this. At least number 1 overall. It's an extreme risk and reach. Having said that, is this something you move on 2 years from now if they've won a total of 4 games in the 2 years? Or do you give him year 3 as a chance to try to win 10, 11 games?
Tops. 2 tops. I think that it all depends on how, to me, it all depends on how the season finishes out. But right now I'm looking at like, hey, this season is so bad, you're going to have to do something really damn good next year. And by next year, I'm talking like 6-7 wins. They're going to have to be at least 6-7. After this season, they're going to have to be 6-7 wins to sell that 3rd year. You're not going to be able to sell or 2 wins this year and then 3-4 wins next year. They're going to have to be a 6-7 team next year.
I think they can be, though. With good coaching, you can win 5-6 games. 5 should be the bare minimum for every bad NFL team. You should be able to win 5 games and pull them out of the hat. The Jets have 3 wins. They suck. The Texans suck. They have 2. The Jaguars suck. They have 2. You can win football games. On accident, for God's sake.
They're not going to be able to, but like I said, you just mentioned Jacksonville, rookie QB, bad situation. The Texans, they're a turmoil of an organization.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at that cluster. You know what
and
they
look
have
at the controversy with both.
Yeah,
Houston and Jacksonville.
Like I said, so with all of that going on, they managed to eke out 2 wins. And the Lions, to our knowledge, harmonious situation as far as the front office and organization. You're not going to be able to sell going winless when those teams have all of that turmoil and they eke out wins.
Let's say you're Brett Holmes.
Yep.
First GM job. You drafted Penei Sewell. Hell of a pick. Your second-round picks are both playing a ton. They're all getting snaps. They're contributing to the team, to say the least. Not stars, but it's okay. They're contributors for now. Maybe they develop. Who knows? It's only their rookie year. You're 2 years in. You have 4, 5, 6 wins over those 2 years. Are you willing to risk your job as a GM? Because Sheila and Chris Spielman hired Dan Campbell? You're going to risk your job and your future? You're not getting another GM job if you don't succeed here. Coaches come here and they never get a job after.
Yeah.
I could say the same about GMs. Chris Millen didn't get a job after. Bob Quinn will never get a job after. No one's given the reins of their franchise to any of those Detroit GMs. Brad Holmes, you're not going to risk your job because you have a head coach that you don't agree with. And you can't blow it all up. 3-4 years from now, they both go, Brad Holmes, what's his pitch? Well, I didn't agree with the head coach, but I didn't have the power to fire him. The hell's your job as a GM? Your job as the GM is to get the quarterback right and the head coach right. If you do those 2 things, you're going to have potentially a Hall of Fame career. That's Brad Holmes' job. Get the head coach and the quarterback right.
You know what? I want to throw a little curveball back at you. Do you think that this is also a problem because they hired Campbell before the Holmes announcement?
Yep.
And they just said that even though that happened, they said that Holmes had a lot of input in that coaching decision.
Yeah, so did I. I had input on it too.
So the curveball I'm asking is, if you're Brad Holmes and you're 2 years in, and this decision was made, do you go to them like, hey, this is not the guy that I would have brought in?
I'm going to answer that question right after the break. Let me tell you about our friends at the Full Link Warehouse. I believe the party's tomorrow, right, Fish? Back me up on this? Absolutely. Parties tomorrow at the Folding Warehouse in Hamtramck, home of the original football bowling pin game called Folding. Host your corporate party, team building event, or just come in with family and friends. There's 2 ways to play. Our $10 unlimited open play or a private lane reservation up to 10 people for $120 for 2 hours. Come and get your full on. Check it out at foldingwarehouse.com. That's foldingwarehouse.com. Yes, you can see me tomorrow in my Ron Burgundy or Ron Jeremy, depends who you prefer, mustache.
Hi, I'm David Hall from Hall Financial. With mortgage interest rates unbelievably low, the stakes to find your new home have never been higher. And that's why Hall Financial's exclusive realtor network allows us to connect you with a top-rated realtor in your area, making sure you take on the housing market and win. Hall Financial has earned over 4,000 five-star reviews because of our technology and our commitment to closing your loan fast. 866-CALL-HALL or chat with us online at callhallfirst.com.
It's Adam, Jeff, and Kennedy. Mornings on the Woodward Sports Network.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show. Jeff, we got to talk. We got to transition from Lions a little bit. I know it's exciting to talk about the Lions, but we got to talk about Michigan State. They finished the season now 10-2, 23-20 victory over Penn State. Big win. I mean, year 2 of Mel Tucker, not many really thought this through. Brian Musalam, inside the locker room Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock on the Woodward Sports Network. He called it before the season. He said that he could see them being 10-2 in their second year under Mel Tucker months before the season. And that kind of leaves me now here with what's next. And I want to recap and give them justice for this season. They had a hell of a season, 10-win season. Their first, I want to say, in 3, 4, 5 years, something along those lines. Extremely impressive. They have a Heisman candidate running back in Kenneth Walker. Peyton Thorne had a solid year. Jaden Reed, one of the most dynamic players in college football. Michigan State to go 10-2, to sign the extension they gave to Mel Tucker. Where do you see this program now going in the future? Are they going to take the Oregon route like they are basically essentially committing to, where they don't want to be a middle of the pack, mid-tier program. They want to be part of the Oregons, the USCs, the Michigans, the Ohio State, Georgia, Bama. Where do you see them going now?
Well, I think now they have to worry about two teams. And now, with Michigan beating Ohio State, it's them two. And we talk about what they want to do in the Oregon route. And we saw Michigan State just rebranding over the last 2 years with Mel Tucker. And now you beat Michigan back-to-back years. So the progression is there. Like, what you're seeing at Michigan State is a positive thing, no matter if they lose to Purdue or if they almost lost to Penn State. Luckily, this game, what Mel Tucker in Michigan State, all the coaching staff preaches is be relentless, play relentless, and you saw that on Saturday. Michigan State, I mean, come on, coming off an ugly loss against Ohio State. Kenneth Walker banged up, whatever you have it, didn't play a whole lot, and now in the snow this week, banged up. Ton of players out with flu, with injuries. Guys playing with injuries, and your kicker left early with a hip injury. You didn't even have a kicker down the stretch, and they still find a way to make plays. Converted a 4th and 20, and you beat a tough Penn State team. Like, it's just adding on to the positive things that Mel Tucker's have displayed. I mean, before the season, me and Adam set up here and had our predictions. No one said 10 wins. Credit to Brian on Inside the Locker Room for even having that prediction, because many thought it was too early. It was too premature, and now, regardless, Kenneth Walker, stud. You got Jalen Reed, Jalen Naylor, you got Peyton Thorne. You got a lot of studs. And this defense has played well at times. Obviously, it's gotten exposed at times as well. But that's just, it's going to take some recruiting classes to get this thing right. And I believe Mel Tucker will. And hopefully over the next couple of years, they'll be in that conversation of contending for a Big Ten championship. Because now you have Ohio State and Michigan. It's a two-man race right now. It's going to be interesting to see how Michigan State, progresses throughout the years and how they come up with an equation to sustain a Big Ten contender. And I think Mel Tucker can do it. I think they hit a home run, and extending him was the best decision that they have made. And we'll see over the next couple of years. But, Adam, I think right now Mel Tucker on his mind is you've already beaten Michigan twice. But that doesn't necessarily matter, because Michigan lost to you 2 years in a row, but now they're playing for a Big Ten championship. So at the end of the day, it's about getting over that Ohio State hump. And I think with better recruiting classes, I mean, you've already heard of the rumors, 5-star wide receiver committing to Michigan State. There's a aura around Michigan State now that 5-star recruits, 4-star recruits, they like it and they want to come check it out. So I think what's on Mel Tucker's mind is, obviously you've beaten the team over in Ann Arbor twice. We'll see how they progress, and can you contend for a Big Ten? So we'll see. But as of right now, Michigan State way ahead of schedule. I mean, you can't say enough good things about Mel Tucker. Everyone is so quick to not credit him with things like the Ohio State game and other things. But no, he deserves all the credit in the world for what he's gotten out of all these players and all the guys he's found through the transfer portal. So give credit to him. I think he's done a fantastic job. And over the next couple of years, as he gets better players through recruiting, it's going to get interesting. It's going to get real interesting in the Big Ten.
Yeah, look, I really think they're onto something with Mel Tucker. And everyone talked about the LSU job, and it was never going to happen. And we saw extremely early on with Michigan State, they looked like a team that could go on the road. And after the win at Miami, I decided to completely go all in on this team. And they've proven, not just me, but a lot of people right to back them, deservingly. It's a damn good football team. They can run the ball. They can be dynamic. Peyton Thorne's made multiple fourth-down throws this year where you're just like, wow. Did it against Penn State. Did it against Michigan State. Michigan. I mean, it's a good football team. Do they win 10 games next year? Who knows? See how the offseason goes. See how the transfer portal goes. See what Mel Tucker can do. Could be difficult to probably repeat a 10-win season. Maybe next year is 8-9. Who knows? Having said that, this 10-year commitment is so that in 4 or 5 years, 9-10 wins is the expectation. Winning the Big Ten is the expectation. That's where they want to get. They want to get into the conversation of, we can beat Ohio State every year. We can and should be beating Michigan every year. The same with what Michigan is trying to do, and the same as what Ohio State is doing. That's what Michigan State are going for. So I'm happy for them. I hope they get it. Mel Tucker's a great guy. I wish him nothing but the best. But we got to head to break. When we come back, we got to wrap up the show with 2 remaining topics. We have, of course, we got to revisit Michigan's win. That was probably the biggest story of the year so far. What a historic win over the weekend. And then, of course, we'll get into mailbag, where we'll answer all of your questions at home. That's always fun. So let me tell you about our friends at Gypsy Vodka before we go away. It took exploring over 50 different formulas, but we believe we have the smoothest tasting vodka on the market. We, as in Gypsy Vodka. Gypsy is gluten-free and corn distilled 6 times using artisan spring water. Support our local guys here from Michigan. Try a bottle today. Ask for it by the name of Gypsy. And as always, please, America and Michigan, drink responsibly.
I'm looking to bring on another HVAC tech right now.
We are recruiting 5 to 10 techs a month.
We're looking to grow and expand. Every new tech we hire is from Northwestern Tech.
The hands-on training is fantastic.
They're always my first call.
We love hiring Northwestern Tech grads.
They come out trained and ready to work.
Our program is only 10.5 months, and our next classes are starting soon. So why wait?
I'm looking to hire
a graduate
of Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Fellas, football season is here. It's time to make your grooming experience easy like Sunday morning. Get to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in, relax, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Follow us everywhere. Just search Woodward Sports on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, IG, and more.
42-27. That was the headline and the final score this weekend in Ann Arbor. The Michigan Wolverines dominated, bullied. You can use any word or way you want to describe it. It was an absolute thriller. It had drama. The game was close, 14-13 going into halftime. Michigan's first win in 10 years over the Ohio State Buckeyes. And I think if you're a Michigan fan, it's about time. It's about time. Jeff, the biggest win for Michigan, obviously, of the season. It's the biggest win under Jim Harbaugh. He's even said it himself. What's next for Michigan? Obviously, Iowa coming up. We can address that later on in the week. But what now for Michigan? They just finally got over their first hump. They beat Ohio State. What's next for this football team? Is it just the beginning for Jim Harbaugh, or do you see this as a one-and-done year? It's a fluke.
No, I don't think it's a fluke. I think it's the start of something good. We have to see over the next couple years how they match up with Ohio State again. But this year, I think Jim Harbaugh's already bought himself time. He's already proved a lot of people wrong, including me, myself. I predicted Ohio State would win, and he came out, shut all the critics up, and everybody can now give him his flowers this year. And he's had a great year. I mean, you lost to Michigan State, of course, but you threw that game. You had the lead. You led, 30-17 late in the game. So at the end of the day, you can't discredit the man. And the win they achieved Saturday, ending Ohio State's 29-game win streak against Big Ten teams, ending their 8-game losing streak to Ohio State, all the good things he's done. It's going to be hard to just say, well, this is it's a fluke. We're going to have to see. It's too early to say, I'm not going to sit up here and say it's a fluke, or I'm not going to sit up here and say he's going to continue to beat Ohio State. It's too early, but it is a stepping stone, a very important stepping stone, because a lot of people were already calling for his job. And he comes out, he beats a very, very talented Ohio State team, offensively, a juggernaut. It was able to compromise them defensively. We talked about the pass rush. Aiden Hutchinson had a historic game getting after the passer. Offensive line dominated the line of scrimmage. But no, this is the start. I think it is. The more, like you said, the cachet of Michigan, you beat Ohio State now. Going in the next couple of years, we talk about the Dabo Swinney graphic, finding their quarterback. You have J.J. McCarthy. If you can land on recruits and keep this consistent, competing with Ohio State, contending for a Big Ten championship, then I think they're fine. They'll be fine. You got J.J. McCarthy in-house for the next 2 years. It's up to Jim to consistently recruit guys, which I think he will. The staff's gotten younger. They're only going to progress. So I think it's only up for Michigan from here. And like Jim Harbaugh said himself, to get 2, you have to get 1. And they got 1. You got your first win, 1-5, I believe, against Ohio State. Nonetheless, now this is your chance. You ended all the streaks that Ohio State has in the Big Ten. Now build on it. We'll see what they do next year. But now the only thing they should have in mind is beating Iowa, going to the playoff. But no, I think it's a start of something, Adam. I think we can agree there.
Look, I was at the game. It was unbelievable to watch. The biggest game for Michigan football, I'd say easily, and the biggest win probably since '97.
Definitely.
I mean, that felt different. The atmosphere in Ann Arbor, I mean, the big house was fully packed. I want to say it was over 111,000 people in the stadium. It was unbelievable. I mean, it gave me chills being there. Having said that, I mean, this is why you play the game, to win these games. And Harbaugh, the knock on him going into the year was he could never win the big games. And when he lost to Michigan State, you really started to question, like, how does he have a future here? He stuck to it. Team believed in him. He believed in his teammate. He believed in his coaches. And they put out a damn good game plan against Ohio State, and they did it. They did it. I just love it. They bullied Ohio State in the trenches.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it. That is the pure definition of Michigan football. Dominate the trenches.
It looked like Stanford, Jim Harbaugh football back in the day.
It really did. Andrew Luck back in the day. Granted, Cade McNamara's no Andrew Luck, but look, I mean, even Cade, in a game where he really didn't do anything. He had one really good throw downfield. I think it was a 35, 40-yard throw. And he had one really bad throw. Interception early on in the red zone. But he stayed the course. He didn't do anything crazy. He didn't take any more chances outside of that, one red zone turnover early on in the second drive, I believe. After that, he was, locked in. He made all the underneath check down throws. He didn't do anything special. JJ made some big plays for the team, but it was all on the offensive line, the defense, and the running game. That is who deserves all the headlines. Those are the people that deserve the credit. Those are the people that won that football game. Look, the quarterback situation, maybe for another week, guys, not this week.
No.
Cade didn't do anything special, and it was not about the quarterbacks.
It wasn't.
On Saturday. It was about the trenches.
All touchdowns were on the ground.
Michigan dominated the trenches. Even David Ojabo. I know he didn't record a sack. I know maybe on TV it didn't look like he was getting to the quarterback. But live, he was causing problems, especially when Ohio State would run the ball. He was getting a good amount of push on the offensive line. He was doing a really good job. So Ojabo, got to give him credit. Obviously, Hutchinson, the star, 15 pressures, 3 sacks.
It's unbelievable.
That was a Heisman-esque performance.
This close to that 4th down ball. You saw that at the very end of the game. 4th down, he was all over the place, man. I mean, the guy, that was
he played the game of his life. They coached the game of their life. Ryan Day, I think, really his first real coaching blunder as the Ohio State coach. And look, he was 23-0 against Big Ten opponents going into that game.
Yeah.
If he was going to lose one, thank goodness it was to Michigan. Mm-hmm. Because everybody was sick of losing to Ohio State. It wasn't just Michigan. So, look, I mean, oh, man. My goodness. I am still lost for words of what I witnessed on Saturday. It was such a phenomenal performance. I can't phrase it in any other way outside of exceptional, historic, remarkable. I could go on and on about what Michigan did.
You knew how big of an impact that was on the entire university as soon as Juwan Howard, he had that moment with Jim Harbaugh. Like, just everybody surrounding Jim Harbaugh, all the support he got immediately after that game, and his press conference, the whole triple, if you burn on third base, you think they hit a triple. I love it. I love everything they're doing, and hopefully, they can build on this. That is the plan. That is the ideal situation. I think they will. Coming to the next year, they're only going to continue to get better. Obviously, it's cachet. It's all about cachet, and I think they did a good job doing that, beating Ryan Day.
What was Michigan's problem going into that game? Their red zone efficiency.
Yes,
they settled
efficiency.
way too much for field goals. Moody, in the last 3 games, has not attempted a field goal.
Yep.
And that's special.
Like I said, November, offensively, they've been on fire.
Unbelievable. They scored on every possession in the second half. They never faced a third down situation in the second half. Mm-hmm. Michigan completely dominated the game. They really did. And Ohio State, they put up a fight. They were down 15. They scored early on in the 4th, made it an 8-point game. And Michigan never looked back. The second Ohio State answered, if you were a Michigan fan, all you could think of is, if we don't put together a drive here, Ohio State might win this football game. And what did Michigan do? They drove right down in 3-4 plays, and they scored right away, and it took the air out of all the fans standing in Ohio State, including Kennedy Broadwell. Fish, you didn't attend the game, but you were tailgating, right?
Yeah, I was just walking around for 4 or 5 hours.
How was it? Did you enjoy your time?
Yeah, it was exciting. I went over to college game day and big noon kickoff. Just walking around. I had a blast. I'd do it again if obviously the both teams are good and they'd come down. But yeah,
how about I'll make you a deal, Fish?
Oh, no.
Michigan get to the college football playoff championship game.
Okay.
I'll take you down to the game with me. You up for that?
If Michigan go to the final?
Yeah.
Where is it in this year?
It's a great question. I don't know.
I should know this. Yeah. Not a very good sports fan of me. I normally know these things.
Yeah, but I mean,
they're going to have to beat.
It's going to be. It's planned to be played at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indiana.
Oh, in Indy?
Okay.
It says
same as
college football playoff national championship.
All right, we'll take it.
Same
we'll go to
as
Indy. Road trip, Fish.
Yeah, I was saying you can drive down there.
We'll drive to Indy. Me and you.
Okay, sounds
we'll
fun.
Go in. We'll rent a Fiat or something. Something extremely small and claustrophobic.
It's a little bike. You can get on the back of it.
Yeah, why don't we just take a bike?
I mean, we could, but I don't know.
Motorcycle.
Fiat, kind of fits your taste, doesn't it?
Sure.
He goes, sure.
All right, well, before we head to break, I want to touch on one more thing. And I think it deserves its own credit, its own, few minutes of me talking. And that's the Mike McDonald hired. What a hire. I mean, so many years of Down Browns, one trick pony.
I know.
I'm running man, and I'm not going off of it the entire game, getting blown out, giving up 60, 50, 70 points to Ohio State. And in comes Mike McDonald. And Mike McDonald totally changes around the defense. They were a legitimate defense from day one. Yes, they faltered against Michigan State. But against Ohio State, again, if I told you Ohio State only scored 27 points, I don't think you would have believed me up before Saturday's game. And C.J. Stroud drove the ball downfield.
Yeah. Two receivers, over 100. Almost
Michigan
3 receivers.
Michigan just controlled it. And Jimba Smith, by the way.
Oh, he was... Oh my God.
They got 3 players. They got 3 players that are playing on Sunday at wide receiver. It's unbelievable.
That makes the win even more impressive. I mean, they still will... All the receivers went off, still. I mean, Olave didn't do as much as he did the week before, but still, Najigba, Wilson had some nice catches. Stroud didn't have a horrible game. They just couldn't convert in the red zone.
Some dude kept screaming when we were walking out of the stadium that Cincinnati was the... No, some team in Cincinnati was the best team in Ohio, and I was just laughing. And he was wearing a Desmond Ridder jersey. It was like, the guy was like all in.
He was already all in. Yeah.
And I looked at him and I said, like, you guys are losing by 60 in the college football playoff, right? And he got so angry. He's like, no, we're gonna win it all. We're gonna beat Georgia. We'll beat Michigan. We'll beat Michigan by 30.
They beat Georgia last year.
I wonder what he's watched to convince himself that.
I don't know.
I'm curious.
I don't know. Tulsa are the best team in the country, though. So wins over Tulsa,
yeah.
I got to give them credit, Fish, right?
Well, what about the Roadrunners? Which, by the way, the Roadrunners lost this week, and it's kind of disappointing.
They're not any good either, Fish.
I know.
They're all fake teams, just like Cincinnati.
They're a great North Texas team.
Cincinnati are going to get in because it's just a down year for college football. The Big 12 and Pac-12 champion won't get in. It's just one of those years.
Yeah.
So Cincinnati will get in. What I'm curious about, though, is what if Georgia wins? Which is, likely scenario.
Mm-hmm. Well, Alabama's out.
Well, Alabama's out, exactly. So it becomes Georgia at 1, Michigan at 2, Cincinnati at 3. Does Notre Dame get in at 4?
Yeah, well, Notre Dame.
Or do you put an Oklahoma State?
I was about to say, I like
Oklahoma State with the Big 12 title.
Notre Dame need 2 teams to lose.
They need
two
Alabama
out of the 4
and
lose.
Oklahoma State to lose.
Oh, well, I was thinking they need Michigan and Cincinnati to lose.
No. Notre Dame to get in need Alabama and Oklahoma State to lose. If both those teams lose, Notre Dame gets into the college football playoff. And that means Michigan and Georgia likely win those games by 50. And then everybody who supports Notre Dame and Cincinnati can go after themselves. Good?
I mean, that's not going to happen, but good, yes.
Well, great. We got to go to break. It will happen. When we get back, we're going to do mailbag. So line up your questions, everybody at home. Put your questions in the chat, please, and we will answer them as quickly as possible. We'll see you right after the break.
Okay, you thirsty little spin goblins. I want you to pedal into the next dimension. Spin it! Spin! Spin! Uh-oh! Carmen's falling behind. Let's give her the hiss of shame. Spin! Spin! Spin till you bleed!
Don't ride the bike of shame. Come to Planet Fitness and find your own lane with tons of equipment, free fitness training, and no hissing. Join today for just $10 a month.
Woodward Sports. Missed part of the show today? Watch again on YouTube or download the podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. It's mailbag time. Guys, you know what time it is. Get your questions in the chat. Jeff and I will start answering. We'll start with, who do you want to see as OC for the Lions? Hashtag mailbag. So going forward, I want to see Anthony Lynn for the rest of the year. I'm done with the Dan Campbell experiment. Get that out of my face. I don't want to see it. Having said that, in the offseason, I don't think you're going to be able to attract a Joe Brady, a Brian Dabble. These guys are going for head coaching jobs. They're not going to a worse team, worse situation to coordinate. So I think you just got to find a young up-and-comer. You have to do your due diligence. Who that is, give me till the end of the week. I'll give you a good answer. How about that?
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, that's definitely a task for Brad Holmes, because you look around the league, there's somebody out there. I mean, Robert Saleh identified Mike LaFleur. You identify passing game coordinators, quarterback coaches, somebody who look at Aaron Glenn, cornerback coach, secondary coach. Now he's a defensive coordinator. Excellent hire. So you can find that. One guy that I've been high on, just talking about, and I've been just doing research on, Luke Getsky from the Green Bay Packers. He's a passing game coordinator. He's been their passing game coordinator the last 3 years. Quarterback coach as well. So he's talking to Aaron Rodgers. That's someone that I've always liked. But again, it's not my job. Brad Holmes, Sheila Ford, ownership is going to have to look around.
Yeah, I don't want Sheila looking for the next OC. I'll pass on that. But next question from Noah. With Cade McNamara having 3+ years of eligibility, do you have a feeling that JJ might transfer? To answer that question, no. I don't think JJ transfers. I think next year is JJ's year. It's clear. There's a night and day difference when JJ's on the field and Cade is. This year, this team is extremely suited to be successful around Cade. A game manager, a guy who isn't going to make a lot of mistakes, take the check down throws, nothing beat you over the top, no special plays. This year, it's enough. Next year, I don't see J.J. McCarthy not being the starting quarterback unless Cade absolutely takes a step that I don't see. I don't see Cade's ceiling. I think he's at his ceiling. I don't think he gets any better from here on out. And I can't express my love for J.J. McCarthy's ceiling. So I'd be very upset if he did transfer, though. I think if you're Harbaugh, you got to pitch him, look, it's your job to lose next year. It's your job, JJ. Come back, compete. It's your job. We want to see you as a starting quarterback, and I think that's the right decision. He should be the starting quarterback, and I think Cade likely transfers. I really do. I see him going to another Big Ten school, maybe a Pac-12 school. Hell, maybe even to the Big 12. Who knows? But I don't see Cade long-term at Michigan. I don't see it. I think JJ is the future. Let's see the next questions we have here, Jeff. Do you see any?
I'm just looking.
Let's see.
Will the Lions be successful in 2022?
Oh, I like this one. If Dallas gets the pass interference call in 2015 against the Lions, is Caldwell still the coach? Okay, so here's the problem with that hypothetical. Is let's say I give you that the Lions did get that pass interference call. Do they still win the game? I don't know.
They had a drive. I mean, after that, it was unsuccessful.
Do they win the game?
I don't know. It wasn't like the Rams and the Saints where it was a clear-cut end of the game.
And if they do, Caldwell was always coming back the year after, which he did.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went 7-9 that year. And then they went 9-7 and 9-7, correct? So, I mean, that was so early on. That was Caldwell's peak year against the Cowboys when they were 11-5 year one. It was an awful pass interference call. We all saw it. How it didn't get called is beyond me. But having said that, they failed to go for on 4th and 1 in Dallas territory. They punted away. Dallas went down, scored. We all know what happened. But he had 3 years after that. I don't think one playoff win in that moment of time, even if they would have gotten it, would have changed the course that they would have gone 7-9, 9-7. Like, I don't know. That's very difficult. But considering it was his first year, I'm going to say no. I don't see how he would have been the coach. Hire Mike McDaniel as the OC from the 49ers. He's a Shanahan guy, and Garoppolo is similar to Goff, and very similar teams. Interesting. Who's number one if Georgia loses? Michigan is number one. Michigan moves up to number one. Alabama moves up to number 2. Cincinnati to number 3. And Georgia likely falls to 4, and it's their spot to lose. I don't see how anybody jumps Georgia at 4. They've been the number 1 team all year. If they lose to Bama, do you really punish them and get rid of them? Bama almost has, I don't know. That's a tough one. That's a good question. The question should be, if Bama beats Georgia, would you take Georgia over a Big 12 champion? Or do you kick Cincinnati out and keep Georgia and the Big 12 champion? That's the question. Jeff, what do you think? If Georgia loses, Michigan's at 1, Bama's at 2, what do you do at 3 and 4? With a Big 12 champion in Oklahoma State.
You're kicking Cincinnati and Notre Dame to the curb. You're kicking them both. Or you're finding a way to get Georgia, Alabama, Michigan into that conversation. Screw the rest. That's what I think about it.
I agree to your point. I do agree. I think Cincinnati has to be pushed out.
Yeah.
If Cincinnati, again, this is like, you don't control your destiny if you're Cincinnati. You just don't. And in my opinion, and we agree on this, if Georgia loses, Michigan's 1, Bama's 2.
Mm-hmm.
You put, I think it's fair to say you put Bama at 3. You give them a rematch, and then you put Oklahoma State at 4. I think that's the play. I really do. But if Georgia loses, floodgates open, and Cincinnati, you can almost lock them in. Cincinnati are a lock to get in if they just win out and Alabama loses. Who is better, Kayvon Thibodeau or Aiden Hutchinson? That's a tough one. So I'll start with this, and then you can take it from there. I think Kayvon Thibodeau has this ceiling that you kind of like, you just dream about. It's like, what can he be? He looks so explosive. He's a dog. He's so raw. He's so aggressive, physical. And Aiden is so polished. He really is. Better numbers, more quarterback pressures. But the tape on Thibodeau is just alarming. It's hard not to see him. He jumps off the screen. So does Aiden, don't get me wrong. But it's a tough question. I'm not comfortable saying one is better than the other. I think they're both extremely outstanding. I think it's unbelievable. I think they're both great players. And I think it's unfair that Hutchinson isn't involved in the best defensive player of the year conversation. I think voters are so stupid.
Yeah,
so stupid.
You're picking between two sports cars. I mean, two of these guys, both of them are going to be top 5 picks. For me, if you have the number 1 overall pick, it's about ceiling. It's about what can he develop into. Aiden Hutchinson, I know he's a senior in college, but the guy has a high ceiling. I mean, you see the J.J. Watt comparisons at Wisconsin. I mean, you see all the comparisons. You understand them. Kayvon Thibodeau, what worries me about him is health. The best ability is availability, and Kayvon Thibodeau over the last 2 seasons has missed some games, and that worries me. But the ceiling's there. He had a great freshman year. I think he had 9 sacks, 10 sacks. Aiden Hutchinson, to me, is the better pro right away, and I think he would be great in a Lions uniform, obviously hometown kid, but even aside from being from Michigan, I hate just using that as a reason. It's about his play on the field. I mean, what he's been doing, getting after the quarterback. That's a guy you can put on an edge and say, get after the quarterback, and he'll do just that. So Aiden Hutchinson, I wouldn't be mad if he went number 1, honestly. I wouldn't have a problem, either one. I understand the Joey Bosa comparisons too, but yeah, he's a specimen. So Hutchinson, if you're in Honolulu Blue, I won't be mad. The guy's talented.
I want to call out one comment I saw from one funky Lions fan. I love this dude. Thibodeau is Sewell, and Hutchinson is Slater this year, just on the opposite side of the trenches. I love that comparison. Absolutely. Hutchinson has this untapped potential. Thibodeau has this untapped potential that you don't know what you're going to get, but it could be extremely special, or it could be really bad. And with Sewell, it was like he's either going to be one of the best prospects we've ever seen come out at O-line, or it's just not going to work. And so far, it looks really damn good. And then Slater, he's just going to walk in and be one of the best tackles in the NFL. And the same with Hutchinson. He'll come in and he'll be an 8, 9, 10 sack producer year 1 in the NFL. Both are good options, in my opinion.
The problem, the worry, if you're a Lions fan, is if you take Aiden Hutchinson and he maybe doesn't reach that ceiling, if he's an 8, 9 sack a season guy, maybe 10 sacks, and Kayvon ends up being the 15, 18 sack a season guy, that's where you regret it. But I don't think they regret either one. I think it's a home run hit for either one. I like them both. So.
All right, well, that's it for today's morning show. Thank you guys so much. Can't wait to have Kennedy back on the show. Fish, thank you so much for what you do, as always. Guys, enjoy your Monday. Michigan won. Michigan State won. Michigan are in the Big Ten title game. What a weekend. What a day to be alive in the state of Michigan outside of the Lions being 0-7-1. We don't have to talk about that. Moving on. We'll see you guys tomorrow. So much NFL action to talk about tomorrow. It'll be a jam-packed show. We got to talk about Matthew Stafford. 3 losses now in his last 4 games. 3 straight pick sixes. Yeah. Not looking good at all. 3 straight losses for the Rams. We'll get to all that tomorrow on the Morning Woodward Show. Thank you so much. Have a great day.